أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise to Allah who has allowed us once again this opportunity to engage in Azadari of Imam Zain alayhi salam. तमाम तारीफ़ें अल्लाह के लिए जिसने हमें आज फिर ये मौका दिया है कि सैयद शुहदा अलैहि सलाम के गम में अज़ादारी में शिरकत करें. A warm welcome and thanks to all who are viewing us and to all the participants who will be reciting the tilawat and salam, speech, noha and ziyarat in today's second boys majlis on the 2nd of Muharram, 1442 Hijri. Before we start the program today, and in continuation of yesterday's topic on the importance of Azadari, I wanted to share with you some hadith of our Masumeen alayhi salam on the importance and reward of your participation in these majlis. So you can understand how important it is for you to participate and how much reward you guys are all getting by participating in these majlis, whether by reciting something or just by viewing these. So I'll share my screen and I'll share some these with all of you today. So the first hadith I wanted to share today was from Imam Ali Raza alayhi salam. And Imam Ali Raza alayhi salam said that with the advent of month of Muharram, with the coming of the month of Muharram, my father, Imam Kazim alayhi salam, the seventh Imam, he would never be seen laughing. Gloom and sadness would overcome him for the first 10 days of the month. And when the 10th day of the month would dawn, it would be a day of tragedy, grief, and weeping for him. So it shows that all our Masumeen commemorated the martyrdom during these 10 days, which were seen to be the days of grief. And they would not laugh in these days, they would just grieve and weep during these days. As you all know, we are not participating in the Majalis in Imam Bargas, rather we are doing it at home. But even doing it at home, it carries a lot of sawab for us. And we have a saying from our fifth Imam, Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam, who said that people who are at home, who cannot go out or who cannot participate in majalis outside, for these people, Imam Baqir alayhi salam, he said that we should mourn over Imam Hussain alayhi salam and weep for him and instruct our members of the house to weep for him. And we should establish the mourning ceremony in the house by exhibiting lamentations and grief over him. And the people should meet one another in their homes and offer condolence and consolation to each other over the calamities which befell him. So even if we are in our houses, if we can't go out because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we should still be commemorating the Azadari, which we are doing now by participating in these programs. As we have gathered today for the Azadari, I also wanted to share two more ahadiths from our Imams regarding these gatherings. So Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, our sixth Imam, he has said, or he asked us rather, he asked his companions, do you sit together, talk and discuss amongst yourself? His companion Fazel, he replied, yes. The Imam then said, I approve of these sittings. So keep your issue alive and may Allah exhibit mercy on those who revive our issue and mission. So these majalis, they are a means of reviving Imam Hussain alayhi salam's mission, reminding ourselves of the objectives why Imam Hussain alayhi salam gave his life. And based on this, Imam Muhammad Baqir, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he said that he approves of such gatherings and he would like us to continue with these gatherings. Similarly, Imam Ali Raza alayhi salam, our eighth Imam, he said that he who sits in the gatherings in which our affairs are discussed and revived, his heart shall not die on the day of judgment when hearts shall die of fear. For all of you participants who are reciting anything in the majlis, whether it is the tilawat or the salam or the speech or the naha, for you, our Aima have said these following things. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, our sixth Imam, he said that there is no one who recites poetry about Hussain and weeps and makes other weeps by means of it, except that Allah makes paradise incumbent upon him and forgives his sin. So for all of those who recite the salam, the poetry, the naha, the marsiya, know that Imam Sadiq alayhi salam is saying that because of such recitation, Allah will make paradise incumbent and obligatory on you, inshallah. And Imam Sadiq alayhi salam also said that all praise is for Allah, who has placed amongst the people those who arrive in our presence, eulogiing us and reciting elegies about us. Similarly, Imam Ali Raza alayhi salam, over 8 Imam, he said that I desire that you recite for me poetry, for surely these days in the month of Muharram are the days of grief and sorrow which have passed over us, the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. What we are doing is directly in line with the wishes and desires of our Imam who liked us to do these activities, who liked us that we should gather together and we should recite the poetry and Nawha and Salam and Mercy and the speeches. So you are doing an act of great sawab in line with the instructions of our Imam alayhi salam. Lastly, in terms of sawab and reward that you are getting for the azadari, Prophet Muhammad himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said to Bibi Fatma, mother of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, he said that, O Fatma, every eye shall be weeping on the day of judgment, except the eye which shed tears over the tragedy of Imam Hussain. For surely that eye shall be laughing and shall be given the glad tidings of the bounties and comforts of paradise. And Imam Ali Raza alayhi salam said that those who weep should weep over the likes of Imam Hussain, for surely weeping over him does away with one's great sins. So participating in these activities and commemorating the mourning, our Masumeen, they say that it will remove the sins from us and it will guarantee us paradise, inshallah. Imam Ali Raza alayhi salam, he said that should you weep for Imam Hussain in the measure that tears roll down your cheeks, Allah would forgive all the sins committed by you, whether they be great sins or small sins. And last hadith from our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that on the day of judgment, you shall. He said to Bibi Fatma that you shall intercede for the ladies, and I shall intercede for the men. Intercede is shafa'a or intercession. Every person who has wept over the tragedy of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, we shall take him by the hand and lead him to paradise. So inshallah, as a reward for our commemoration, we hope that the Masumeen will intercede on our behalf and they will inshallah take us to paradise under their guidance.
Thank you so much, Ali. Alhamdulillah, it's a great reminder for everyone that month of Muharram is a month of sorrow and sadness, and participating and organizing Majalis carries a lot of rewards. Thank you so much, Ali.
Jazakallah Salman bhai. Before we start with today's program, I would like to mention that at the end of the program, we'll have a short quiz, maybe just 5 questions, and also some other learnings for the kids. So we'll have a story of one of the heroes of Karbala and one of the lessons learned from Karbala on the topic of friendship. So we will share that at the end of the program. And now I'll just call our first participant for today for Tilawat. We have Hadi Manji with us, who will present Tilawat for all of us. Hadi, please go ahead.
Bismillah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitan rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. Ma aghna anhu maluhu wa ma kasab. Sayasla naran zata lahab. وامرأته حمالة الحطب في جيدها حبل من مسد صدق الله العظيم.
MashaAllah, this was Hadi Manji. Hadi, very well recited. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, MashaAllah. We also have Muhammad Jawad, who will recite Tilawat of Quran for us. Muhammad Jawad.
Yep. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر. ليلة القدر خير من ألف شهر. تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر. سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Muhammad wa ali MashaAllah. No, MashaAllah.
Muhammad Jawad, thank you so much, Muhammad Jawad. Very well done. May Allah reward you. We also have Shanawar Ali. Is Shanawar with us for recitation today? Shanawar Ali?
Shanawar Ali, Ali Bhai, I don't see any name coming up with Shanawar Ali.
Okay, I believe we might be missing Shanawar. In place of Shanawar, is anyone else wanting to do tilawat?
Anyone, any of the boys? I think Abbas Zabit wants to recite something, Ali Bhai.
Buzz Rabbit, please go ahead.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل يا أيها الكافرون لا أعبد ما تعبدون ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد ولا أنا عابد ما عبدتم ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد لكم دينكم ولي دين صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Allahumma salli
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
MashaAllah, very well done, Abbas.
MashaAllah, well done, Abbas. We have got, I think, Murtuza and Alian, they want to recite something as well. Ali Bhai?
Please go ahead, Murtuza and Alian.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر ليلة القدر خير من ألف شهر تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Well done, Murtuza, well done. Anyone else interested in reciting any surah, any surah anyone else want to recite? You can just raise your hand if anyone is interested. I think Sayyid Ali Hussain Razvi. Ali Bhai, they want to recite.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, please go ahead, Sayyid Ali Hussain Razvi. You can recite something if you want.
We have Murtaza and Alian as well. Alian is raising his hand. If Ali Murtaza Razvi is done, then we can move to Alian. Alian will come to you.
So, Sayyid Ali Hussain Razvi, please, you want to recite? So please recite now. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. MashaAllah, well done. You recited very nice Surah Ikhlas. Well done.
Yeah,
I think Alian Abbas, you are interested in reciting something as well?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. MashaAllah, well done everyone.
Very good.
Do we have any other students interested in recitation?
Anyone else? Anyone wants to recite anything? You can just raise your hand if you want to recite anything. Ali Bhai, I don't see anyone raising their hand, so you can.
Yeah, we'll move on to the salam. We have Muhammad Zaryan for salam. Muhammad Zaryan, would you like to present salam to Imam Hussain alayhi salam, please?
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
असगरे बेशीन जैसी कब्र है आबाद की असगरे बेशीन जैसी कब्र है आबाद की रो रही है सोच कर रो रही है सोच कर बनी आज भी असगरे बेशीन जैसी कब्र है आबाद की असगरे बेशीर जैसी कब्र है अब्बास की। रश्क करती थी मैं आपसे है दरे करार पर, पाँव हंस देते थे उसके बैठ कर रहवार पर। हाय मेरे शेर की, हाय मेरे शेर की, ये कैसी हालत हो गई असगर जैसी कब्र है अब्बास की। असगर बेशीर जैसी कब्र है अब्बास की। के भी उसने निभाया उसने जो अदा किया, अपने बेटे की वफा पर फख्र है मुझको बदा। अब नहीं असर की माँ से कुछ मुझे शर्मंदगी, असगर बेटी जैसी कब्र है अब्बास की। असगर बेटी जैसी कब्र है अब्बास की। बाप के बदले मुसलमानों ने बेटे से लिए, सर जुदा है तन जुदा बाजू जुदा है शेर के। आपकी तस्वीर टुकड़े, आपकी तस्वीर टुकड़े हो गए हैं या अली, असगर जैसी जैसी कब्र है अब्बास की। असगर बेशीर जैसी कब्र है अब्बास की। कौन लज सकता था उससे जिसमें था इतना जिगर, सुनती हूँ 9 लाख ने मरा है उसको गैर कर। सुन लाश भी उसकी सलामत, लाश भी उसकी सलामत, दश्त में रहने न दी, असगर बेशीर जैसी कब्र है अब्बास की। असगर बेशीर जैसी कब्र है अब्बास की। क्या कदों कामत थी उसकी ये उसे मालूम था, एक सिमट कर कैसे कासिम आ गया। उम्र पर वो जानती है क्या मेरी बेकसी, असरे बेटी जैसी कब्र है अब्बास की। असगर बेशीर जैसी कब्र है अब्बास की।
Allahumma salli
salli
ala
ala
Muhammad
Muhammad
wa
wa
ali
ali
Muhammad.
Mashallah, mashallah.
MashaAllah, Muhammad Zaryan. Very, very well recited, MashaAllah.
May Allah reward you, Muhammad Zayan. That was very well done. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Does anyone else want to recite Salam before we move to the speeches?
Yeah, we have Raza Khan, Muhammad
Khairatmand.
Khairatmand. So we'll go with Raza first. Raza, can you unmute yourself and recite something for us, please? Go for it, Raza.
Yeah, Reza, you can
Mashallah.
recite now. Mashallah, go for it.
I think he's doing
We'll
Matam.
come back to,
MashaAllah.
if we have someone else who can do Salam or Marcia, if someone wants to share.
Yeah,
Muhammad
Muhammad
Khairatmand.
Khairatmand, can you unmute yourself and recite? Ya Ali.
Ya Ali, mashallah. Nice, mashallah. Well done.
Very good.
All right, we'll move on to the speeches. We have Muhammad Abbas Mukhi with us, who would like to present a speech today in the second voice majlis. Yes, Muhammad, please go ahead with your speech.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى الطاهرين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد
وآل
وآل
محمد.
محمد
وتعاونوا على البر والتقوى ولا تعاونوا على الإثم والعدوان واتقوا الله إن الله شديد العقاب. And cooperate in righteousness and taqwa, and do not cooperate in sin and aggression, and fear Allah. Indeed, Allah is severe in penalty. Surah Maida Ayah 2. Assalamu alaikum, Azadarane Imam Hussein. The ayat which I just read from Surah Maida is talking about where people should become helpers of one another. But we can also infer from this ayat that the importance of having good friends. Allah is telling us that we should work together when it comes to bir and taqwa, but we should not work towards sin. We are being guided by Allah to make friends with whom we can work together to help each other do good deeds. The influence of friends is greatly emphasized in Islam. Good friends can make great difference to a person's character. Hence, a parent has to be careful of their child's friends. Always being in the company of one who has loose morals or who is bad-mouthed or has other such vices will damage their child's character. Friends give you company, but apart from that, good friends can help you in difficulties. Imam Ali alayhi salam has said, try to have as many possible sincere friends, for they are the supplies in joy and shelters in misfortune. Imam Musa ibn Jafar al-Islam was asked, what is the ideal source for comfort in this world? The Imam replied, an airy house and plenty of true friends. Imam Ali al-Islam says, the weakest person is one who cannot make anyone his friend and brother. He also narrated, not having friends is like being a stranger in one's own land and being a loner. So who is a good sincere friend? Ahlul Bayt al-Islam have taught us about the qualities of good friends. They must be respectful, help us in the path of Allah, humble, honest, and kind. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ says, man imitates his friends. Hence, you must consider whom you want to befriend. The qualities of friends transfer between them very quickly. It frequently happens that a well-behaved individuals go astray on the wrong path because of the influence of their bad friends. So it is important for every man to reason to choose friends that are characterized by good mannerism and behavior, who have taqwa and beautiful conduct. Our friend must be known by strong faith, uprightness, and well mannerism. Friends who are empty of such traits are insignificant, since they are likely to take you away from the right path. There are certain types of people that we should not make friends with. Imam Zainul Abidin al-Islam has advised us to keep away from the following types of people: a liar, someone who commits sins, a miserly person, and a foolish person. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam said, the foolish does not advise you of good and is not expected you to save you from any problem, even if he does his best. Moreover, he may harm you as he intends to benefit you. His death is better than his life, his silence is better than his words, and his remoteness is better than his closeness. Just as having good friends, it is important to be a good friend. You should also have good qualities and good akhlaq, and be a sincere friend. The Holy Prophet ﷺ has also narrated, the believer is like a mirror to other believers. We should also be careful not to correct the mistakes of another believer in front of others, as this may embarrass them, and also have the qualities of good friend within ourselves. Imam Ali alayhi salam said, when you cherish someone, you should not cherish them moderately, for he may be our enemy someday. And when you hate someone, you should hate them moderately, for he may be your friend someday. It means that we should not go to extreme limits in our friendship and hatred towards people. as they may be your friend, someday, except for the love of Ahlul Bayt al-Islam. For there is no limit to the love of Ahlul Bayt al-Islam. When Imam al-Islam had set out for Kufa, on his way he was stopped by a troop from Yazid's army. The troop was led by Hur ibn Yazid. They stopped the Imam from moving ahead. The Imam saw that the soldiers and animals of the army of Hur were very thirsty. The tongues of animals were sticking out due to thirst. The Imam ordered that all of them should be given water. Then it was time for Zuhr namaz. Imam asked her, "Will you pray with us or will you pray separately?" Hur said he would pray with you. Hur said, "We would pray with you, O son of Rasulullah." Dhuhr namaz was offered. After the namaz, when Imam Hussein al-Islam rode his horse to start moving towards his destination, Hur grabbed the reins of Imam's horse. At that time, Imam said, "O Hur, may your mother sit in your grief." Hur, who was a very brave and fierce soldier, replied respectfully to Imam Hussein al-Islam, "O son of Rasul Allah, if it was anyone other than you, I would have replied him very well. But for your mother, I can only say words of respect." Imam was making Hur realize the sublime status of Ahlul Bayt and Hur's love for them. Hur's army didn't let the caravan move forward, and then the day of Ashura came. The narrator tells us that Hur's whole body was shaking. His friend says, "O Hur, if anyone would ask me who was the bravest fighter in Syria, I would take your name. But I see that you are shaking from the fear of war." Hur replies, "No, I am not afraid of the war. I am not afraid of the war. But I see myself between heaven and hell. I couldn't believe that the people would battle against the son of Rasulullah. How can Muslims fight against the one who has the amama of Rasulullah on his head, who is the grandson of Rasulullah, who rides his horse, takes his son and slave, and moves towards the tent of Abu Abdullah. And as he got close, he says, "O my son, tie a blindfold around my eyes. I am ashamed in front of my Mola. I was the one who stopped his caravan." Hur comes close to Imam Hussein al-Islam and says, "Ya Mola, will my tawbah be accepted? Ya Mola, Ya Mola, give me permission to fight in your path and to sacrifice my son for you." Imam Hussein al-Islam hugs her and says, "O Hur, you have been forgiven by Allah." Azadaro Hur fights bravely in the battlefield for Imam Hussein al-Islam. As he was fighting an enemy, struck a blow on his head. Hur fell to the ground from his horse and called his master for help. As Imam Hussein al-Islam came near Hur's body, he sees the wound on his head and ties the napkin of Bibi Fatima al-Islam around his head. The last sentence that Mullah Hussein al-Islam says to her, Imam says, "O Hur, you are free in this world and in the hereafter, just as your mother has named you. Allah nanatullahi ala qawmi zalimin. Assalamu alaikum ya Ahl Bayt al-Nubuwah. Assalamu alaikum ya Abu Abdullah."
Allahumma salli ala
Allah Muhammad
Muhammad
wa ali
wa
Muhammad wajil farajahum.
Very well done, Muhammad Muki. That was very nicely presented, mashallah. May Allah reward you for that. We have other speeches today as well. We have got Heather Zedi with us. Heather, would you like to present the speech today?
Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Today is the 2nd of Muharram. This is the day when Imam Hussein's caravan reached Karbala. Imam had been on his way to Kufa when Hur and his soldiers met the Imam. They were all very thirsty and had ran out of water. Imam Hussein al-Islam gave Hur and all his army as much water as they wanted to drink. Hur then told Imam that he had been sent by Yazid to stop the Imam from going to Kufa. And the Imam, after Shahadat of his Safir, Hazrat Muslim, and situation around Kufa, had to change caravan's direction. 40 miles from Kufa, as he was riding his horse, it suddenly stopped and would not move. The Imam asked then, "What is this place called?" One man said, "Nenawa," another said, "Gazaria." Imam asked for any other name. In this place is also called Karbala. After this name, Imam decided to stay here and bought the land. Karbala is made out of two words, Karb and Bala. Karb means suffering and Bala means troubles. As the ladies got down from their camels, a yellow dust rose in the air. Bibi Zainab Salawatullah expressed her worries to the Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Then he replied, Sabr, be patient, my sister Zainab. Imam Hussein alayhi salam stood up to defend the divine message of his grandfather, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. When attempts were made to extinguish the light and plunge Muslims into darkness, he showed us that we must uphold the right and forbid the wrong. Imam Hussein saved Islam and protected the message of the Quran. The fourth Imam, Zain al-Abidin salam, spoke of how tears shed for him would be rewarded by Allah in paradise. Majlis have played an important role in our develop them into an intuition to the right path. Everyone Islam can attain this blessing. The host muted me. Can attain this great blessing. Can attain this great blessing by helping Imam Zamana alayhi salam. I'd like to conclude my speech with prayers that Allah include us all among the servants of our 12th Imam, Imam Mahdi Akhir Zaman alayhi salam. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala
Muhammad
Muhammad
wa
wa
ali
ali
Muhammad.
MashaAllah, Haider Zaidi, that was a very nice speech. MashaAllah, well done.
MashaAllah, well composed and well read. And otherwise, there were some key points, right, in both the hadith. I think my one cent, to all the kids who were listening, right? The sayings of Imam Zainul Abidin was to keep away from a few type of people. What are those few type of people? They are the liars. You need to keep away from liars. You should not keep company of such people. Someone who commits sins, someone who's a miser, and a foolish person, because a foolish friend is more harm to you and harm to the community than good to us. So yeah, mashallah, very good points covered in the hadith. Thank you very much for the kids for bringing up all this.
MashaAllah, may Allah reward all these kids. We've got Hamid Hussein as well, who would like to present a speech today. Hamid, do you want to go ahead with your speech, please?
Yes. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Muhammad Hamid Hussein. Today I would like to give a speech on Mullah Hussein al-Islam and on the Battle of Karbala. I want to start and end my speech with Quran ayat on Imam Hussein al-Islam. As we all know, this is Surah number 89, Al-Fajr, and also called Surah Imam Hussein. In the Surah Al-Fajr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned about 10 nights of Muharram and the Shahadat of Imam Hussein al-Islam. There are lots of ayat about the Ahlul Bayt in the Quran. Let's start with the birth of Imam Hussein al-Islam. Surah Rahman from ayat number 19 to 22 is about the birth of Imam Hussein al-Islam.
Sorry to pause you in between. Hamid, do you want to switch on your video, please, so everyone can see you as well?
It's not working, I think.
Yeah, I can see your video now.
Yeah. Okay.
It's switched off again. Are you reading on your tablet?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. It's all right. Go ahead, please.
Let's start with the birth of Imam Hussein al-Islam. Surah Rahman from ayat number 19 to 22 is about the birth of Imam Hussein al-Islam. One of the Prophet companions asked about this ayat, and the Prophet replies, this ayat is about the birth of Imam Hussein al-Islam and Imam Hussein al-Islam. In the month of Muharram, Imam Hussein al-Islam sacrificed his family and companions just to save Islam. When Muawiyah died, his son Yazid became the leader. The first thing he did was wrote a letter to his governor in Medina, to make sure that Imam Hussein al-Islam accepted him as a leader. When Imam Hussein al-Islam heard this, he knew that Medina was not safe for him. So Imam Hussein al-Islam decided to leave Medina and go to Makkah. By then, it was the month of Zulhijj. Everyone was preparing for Hajj. Yazid sent another evil man called Umar bin Saad and told him if he sees Imam Hussein al-Islam in Makkah, then kill him, even if he's doing the tawaf of the Kaaba. Imam Hussein al-Islam came to know about this evil plot and did not want to have any fight near the Kaaba. So instead of going to Mecca, then Imam Hussein decided to go to Kufa with his family and companions. On the way to Kufa, our Imam found that Hazrat Muslim bin Aqil was killed by Ibn Ziyad. Before Imam Hussein al-Islam reached Kufa, he saw a small group of soldiers coming towards him, and they were from the Yazid's army. And the leader was full. He said to Imam Hussein al-Islam that Yazid had orders not to allow Imam Hussein al-Islam to go to Kufa and not go to Makkah. It was the second Muharram. Imam Hussein al-Islam had reached the land called Karbala and he camped near the river Furat. Imam Hussein al-Islam was surrounded by Yazid's army to move his tents far away from the river. By 7th Muharram, all the water in Imam Hussein's camp was finished, and all the children were really thirsty. On 9th Muharram, Umar bin Saad with his 30,000 soldiers told Imam Hussein al-Islam to accept Yazid as his leader, or else he will attack him. Imam refused them and asked one more day so that Imam Hussein and his companions can pray to Allah until the day of Ashur. On the day of Ashur, Battle of Karbala started. One by one, everyone was martyred. Even Imam Hussein's 6-month-old son, Ali Asghar al-Islam, was also martyred by the army of Yazid. No one was left except Imam Hussein al-Islam. Imam fought very bravely until he was too martyred, and Surah Al-Fajr, ayat number 27 to 30, talked about the shahadat of Imam Hussein al-Islam. The only man left was our fourth Imam, Imam Zainul Abidin al-Islam. He couldn't fight because he was ill. I pray for the reappearance for our 12th Imam al-Islam and take revenge.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. MashaAllah, Hamid, that was a very good speech. You explained really well the journey of Imam Hussein alayhi salam from Medina to Makkah, and to Makkah, from Makkah to Karbala, and his martyrdom of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and his companions. So MashaAllah, it was a very good speech. Well done.
And it was very comprehensive. There were some good references from the Holy Quran. So MashaAllah, very well done, Muhammad. Ahmed, sorry.
MashaAllah. May Allah reward you. We have got Murtaza Abbas who will do another speech for us. Murtaza.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is the 2nd of Muharram now, and today Imam Hussein and his companions had arrived at Karbala and had noticed that Yazid's army was there. Nobody knew how Yazid knew that they were coming, because Hazrat Muslim couldn't inform them about that the people were now scared and Yazid would kill them because he had died. So Imam Hussein and his people laid a camp, and everyone went to fight one by one. Each of them got martyred. The only person who didn't get martyred was our fourth Imam, Imam Zainul Abidin al-Islam. He was too sick to fight, and that was a blessing from God, so there could be more. So Zainul Abidin could lead the people when Imam Hussein would die. Imam Hussein we do majlises so we can remember Imam Hussein and his companions being martyred one by one, and how the women and Imam Zain al-Abidin were treated badly after Imam Hussein had died. We remember of how the camps were burnt and how people were bleeding from the rudeness of the army. Even even the army were Muslims, but they would fight Imam Hussein. They weren't accepting Islam properly. They were just thinking about power and stuff like that, because Imam Hussein had had a meeting with the leader of the army, and he knew Imam Hussein very good, and he even knew about his family, and he knew lots about him, but he still wanted to kill Imam Hussein just because he wanted power and property and stuff that Islam does not accept. He was a very bad person, and Imam Hussein did not accept this. Even when Imam Hussein had fighted, he he had been shot by an arrow, and he stayed still. Nobody knew if he was alive or dead, so they all went to the camp to burn it. And then Imam Hussein had woke up from, and he got he made a brilliant speech and saying, if you do not believe the religion of God and you do not fear the day of judgment, at least be free. Everyone was shocked and were thinking about what a great speech Imam Hussein had did. And we all remember about Imam Hussein, everyone who had been martyred, even the little baby who was 6 months old, Mullah Ali Asghar, who had been killed by an arrow for protecting Imam Hussein.
MashaAllah, Murtaza, MashaAllah, that was a very nice speech, good explanation about Karbala and the martyrdom of all the companions. That was a very good, comprehensive speech, Murtaza. Well done.
MashaAllah. Murtaza, were you reading it from a paper or were you reading it without seeing?
I was just thinking of words right when I was talking, so
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. That's extremely incredible. MashaAllah. Really appreciate. So Murtaza has prepared, it in his mind, and he has given the whole speech without reading out from a paper, which is incredible. Really, very good, Murtaza. Well done.
MashaAllah, Murtaza, that's great work. Keep up the great work, Murtaza. Well done.
MashaAllah, very impressive. We got four speeches today, which was excellent. May Allah reward all of our participants. As we have got almost just 15 minutes left in today's program, we will move to conclude the program with Noha and Ziyarat. For Noha, we have Misam Abbas and Muhammad Jawad. So Misam Abbas, first we'll go with you. If you can present the Noha, please.
Me?
Misam Abbas.
Yes, Ali bhai, that's Reza Mirza. This is the one, Reza Mirza. He's Misam Abbas.
Right.
Let me just change, just rename him.
Ya Hussein, Karvan, Karvan, Abbas ne Karvan, 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 Abbas ne Karvan. क्या शान है, क्या दबदबा, क्या लोग है, कुरान में सल्ले अला आयात का है काफिला, मशकोलम इनका निशान अब्बास ने कारवां 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 अब्बास मेरे कारवां. क्या शान है, क्या दबदबा, क्या लोग हैं, कुरान में सल्ले अला आयत का है काफिला मशको अलम इनका निशान
अब्बास मीरे कारवां 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 अब्बास मीरे कारवां Hussein, 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 Hussein. Allahumma salli ala
La
Allahumma
Muhammad
salli
wa
ala
ali
Muhammad
Muhammad.
wa ala
MashaAllah,
Muhammad.
Mr. Mabab, that was very good, Noha. MashaAllah. Very
MashaAllah,
well
Mr.
read,
Abbas.
MashaAllah. Keep up
Very
the
well
great
done.
work.
Inshallah. We've got Muhammad Jawad with another Noha.
Yes. Karbala, 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 जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे रोज़ाए शबीर पे दूंगा दुआ ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे है जहाँ गंजे शहीदा है जहाँ नहरे फुरात है जहाँ गंजे शहीदा है जहाँ नहरे फुरात जिस जगह सैयद मेरा प्यासा रहा ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे जिस जगह अब्बास के बाजू कलम होकर गिरे जिस जगह अब्बास के बाजू कलम होकर गिरे उस जगह में भी करूँ मातम जरा ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे दिल उलझ कर आ गया बर्ची में अकबर का जहां दिल उलझ कर आ गया बर्ची में अकबर का जहां दिल वहाँ में भी करूँ अपना फिदा ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे हाय वो मकतल जहां बाली सकीना रात में हाय वो मकतल जहां बाली सकीना रात में ढूंढती पड़ती थी सीना बाप का ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे रोज़ाए शबीर पे दूंगा दुआ ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे जाने वाले करबला के करबला ले चल मुझे Allahumma salli
ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. MashaAllah, Muhammad Jawad, very well done. That was very well read. MashaAllah. Keep up the great work.
Very good, very good.
MashaAllah. May Allah reward you, Muhammad Jawad. MashaAllah, very good. We have got one more Noha from Raza Mir Ali Khan. Raza, do you want to go ahead with the Noha?
Yes.
Very good.
MashaAllah.
Mena nabi Baba ये पापा हंस हमी है पंचट हमी है पंचट मैं कहाँ है कटा मैं क्या है कटा मुझ पे कुर्बान न कट हूँ पानी कहाँ अमत पावा नहीं मुझ मुझ पे किन्नर कट्टे पानी stand
Hussein.
MashaAllah, Reza, that was
MashaAllah,
very
Reza.
well read.
Very
MashaAllah,
well
keep
read.
up the great work. Well
Very
done.
good, Reza.
على محمد وآل محمد.
Allahumma salli ala
Muhammad wa ali
Muhammad
Muhammad
wa ali
wa ajil
Muhammad.
farajahum.
In the speeches today, we had the zikr of Hazrat Hur. Hazrat Hur became a companion of Imam Hussain alayhi salam at the very last moment, just a night before the day of Ashura. We have a short clip about Hazrat Hur alayhi salam, and we will play that clip about Hazrat Hur, after which we will do ziyarat. We have Jafar with us today for ziyarat. So Jafar, please stay with us, and we will watch a short clip about Hazrat Hur, after which we will do ziyarat.
Once upon a time, there was a man by the name of Hur ibn Riyahi. He was a commander of the Kufa army, the same army that had stopped Imam Hussein's caravan and forced the caravan to stop at Karbala, the spot at which Imam Hussein would be martyred along with 18 Banu Hashims. On the second Muharram, where Hur's army reached the caravan of Imam Hussein a few miles outside of Kufa, Hur's men and his horses were very thirsty, and they requested water from Imam Hussein. Imam Hussein graciously granted them with water and also quenched the thirst of their horses. Nearly all of the water that Imam Hussein was traveling with had finished. Hur held the straps of Imam's horse and told our dear Imam that he was sent to stop the caravan from entering Kufa. Imam Hussein informed her that the desperate Muslims of Kufa had invited him. But because of the orders Hur had come with, he could not allow the Imam to continue. Instead, he followed the Imam with 1,000 men to a land that was called Nainava, also known as Karbala. Imam Hussein's horse stopped there and would not go any further. When Imam Hussein found out that this place was called Karbala, he smiled and said, "These are the prophesied fields where my faithful companions, my family, and myself shall be killed after suffering 3 days of hunger and thirst." Imam Hussein and his followers set up tents. Hur's army stood alert not far from the Imam. In the coming days, the forces of Yazid were increased by thousands. According to different historians, the total force was up to 100,000 soldiers. They surrounded the Imam's camp, leaving the tired men, women, and children without water or food. Their cries there were the cries that echoed in Hazrat Hur's head and made him turn towards the truth. On the morning of Ashura, Hazrat Hur, along with his son and a slave, rode to Imam Hussein's camp and begged for forgiveness. When he saw the gathered armies and their intentions, he thought that Imam Hussein would not have been in this situation had he not stopped Imam's journey. Hazrat Hur threw himself at Imam Hussein's feet and begged for forgiveness. As he felt ashamed for putting the Imam and his followers in danger before coming to the Imam, Hazrat Hur asked his slave to tie his hand with a rope. He can approach Imam Hussein as a criminal. Imam Hussein, being the supremely merciful man that he was, embraced Hazrat Hur, saying, "Hur, I forgive you. I promise that my grandfather, the Holy Prophet, also forgives you." Hur then asked the Imam if he would allow him to fight the enemies of Islam. And the Imam, being the most gracious of hosts, said, "Hur, you are my guest. How can I let you die for me?" Hur insisted, and the Imam granted him his wish. From that point on, Hazrat Hur fought on the side of Imam Hussein, and finally lost his life while trying to keep Islam in its purest form. When Hur died, Imam Hussein reached his body and prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to honor this brave man who gave his life for Islam.
I hope you all liked that video. It was a story of Hazrat Hur and how at the very last moment he repented. And that video and that story of Hazrat Hur, it shows us that it is never too late to repent. So even at the last moment, Hur joined Imam Hussein alayhi salam's camp, and he will still be getting to heaven and paradise. So that's the benefit of being with our Masumeen and following their guidance. We'll end the program with Ziyarat today. We have Jafar for reciting Ziyarat. Jafar, do you want to recite Ziyarat for us?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Assalamu alayka ya ibna Rasulullah. Assalamu alayka ya ibna Amir al-Mu'mineen wa ibna Sayyid al-Wasiyyin. Assalamu alayka ya ibna Fatimah az-Zahra Sayyidat an-Nisa al-Alamin wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alayka ya Gharib al-Ghuraba. Assalamu alayka ya Mu'ayna Zughafai wal-Fuqara. Assalamu alayka ya Shams al-Shamus. Assalamu alayka ya Anis al-Nafus. Assalamu alayka ya Madfunu bi-Arzitus. Razi bil-Qadri wal-Qaza. Ruhi jisme laqal fida. Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alayka ya Qa, ya Mawla, ya Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman. Al-Aman, Al-Aman, Al-Aman min fitnat al-Zaman. Assalamu alayka ya Shariq al-Quran. Assalamu alayka ya Khalifat al-Rahman. Assalamu alayka ya Imam al-Insi wal-Jan. Ajalallahu ta'ala farajak wa sahlallahu ta'ala makhrajak wa zahurak wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu ala al-Husayn wa ala Ali ibn al-Husayn wa ala awlad al-Husayn wa ala ashab al-Husayn wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allahumma
Allahumma
salli
salli
ala
ala
Muhammad
Muhammad
wa
wa
ali
ali
Muhammad. MashaAllah,
Muhammad
Jafar. MashaAllah, well done.
I promised a quiz today for 4 or 5 questions, but we are nearing the end of Majlis. So we'll have this small quiz, inshallah, tomorrow. And we will end with Dua Imam Zamana for today's program. Would somebody like to recite Dua Imam Zamana with us, please?
Can everyone unmute and all recite together?
Inshallah.
Everyone unmute,
Everyone
please.
unmute yourself.
I'm muted.
Let's
Yeah.
everyone recite.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Allahumma
kulli
وليا
الحجة الحسن
صلوات عليه
على
وعلى
آبائه
آبائه
هذه الساعة كل ساعة وليا
وحافظا
وقائدا وناصرا
وناصرا
ومنصرا
وعليا
وارزقنا
اللهم
Muhammad
صل
wa
على
ali
محمد
Muhammad. Ajil farajahum.
Jazakallah everyone, and we'll see you at the same time as today, inshallah, at 4 p.m.
Inshallah, see you all tomorrow at 4 p.m. Khuda Hafiz, everyone.
Inshallah. Khuda Hafiz, everyone. Khuda Hafiz. MashaAllah, well done everyone. Khuda Hafiz.
Ali bhai, mashallah, that was really great work again today, Ali bhai. Mashallah, well done.